How's it going, everybody? Hope you're all well. Hope you're doing good. So today we're doing a Vauxhall Meriva and we're going to get down there and we're going to tackle doing the ABS ring on the drive shaft. So I've got it in the car here. So I'll show you what it actually is. It's basically this, and that sits on the drive shaft, and as you're going along, the speed sensor, the ABS sensor reads it, counts the teeth as it goes round. That's how you get your speedo, and that's how your ABS brakes and stuff work. So we'll put that up here. And there's going to be lots of other stuff that you're going to want, so I'll spin you around. I'll show you a few bits on the table here and show you what you're going to need to start the job. So let's get it done. Let's try and save you some money. Let's go. So first of all, obviously you're going to need a trolley jack or the jack that comes in the back of the car, but I would recommend getting at least a small trolley jack, if not one like this. You're going to want a little stand to put underneath the chassis, just so the car don't come down on you while you're doing the work. I'll use that as like a boot tray mat to sit on the floor and stuff, especially if it's muddy or wet or whatever, etc. I've got a pad here I use for kneeling on, if I'm kneeling down on the floor and doing the wheel and stuff. There I'm going to use the torque gun today to undo the wheel, but if you haven't got one of them, you're going to want a wheel brace like so, or one like that. But before you can get that far, you're going to need this little kitty. And this is your lock and wheel nut. And sometimes on the cars, sometimes they'll have a lock and wheel nut. This will either be in the glove box somewhere or hidden in the boot underneath the mat, etc. Them sort of areas. You should be able to find it. You're then going to want some brake cleaner to get in there and sort of clean everywhere up. Sometimes you'll get down and that'll be all greasy and horrible, and you just want the area clean so you can start work, see your bolts and stuff properly, and start undoing stuff. Also recommend having a drink by your side. You just got to take it easy doing these jobs. You're not in a rush, you're just taking it easy. Get everything done properly, try not to miss anything. Yeah, and get it all exactly how you want it, and the car will be A1 when you're finished. So let's get started. I'm going to have a little bit of a drink. I'm going to get down there and jack it up. I'll show you where to jack it up, where to put your stand, and let's get moving. So get your jack. And come underneath there on a car like this where I'll fit the body kit. It's a lot harder to see the seal where the cutout is, but it's roughly about there. I'll show you that one right up in here where it actually is, but where I'm going to put it is actually on the chassis rail, because it's a lot stronger and a lot better on these cars. Yeah, we'll get under, do that. Get it lined up, couple of pumps. Get it in the air, and then I'll bring you over, show you underneath there, show you what's what. Right, so we're in the air. I'm going to try out to mess around on. I'll bring you over and show you where we're going to put the stand. So as I was saying to you before, the cutout there on the edge of the steel, that's where your strengthening plate is if you want to put it there. But I would recommend just put it on the chassis rail like so. It's a lot stronger area to put it, and that's where you want this stand to go as well. So, most of these Vauxhalls are a 17mm socket on the wheel nuts. Get it in there. So if you haven't got this equipment, then just use what I showed you before, use the wheel braces. And I'd recommend, obviously, you won't be able to get the wheel nuts off while it's already jacked up, so you'd loosen them just one turn on the floor before you start jacking up, just so you can spin them off when you're up here. As you saw, some have come out, some have stayed in with the wheel. That one come down quite nicely, and then they just bounce out. Put your wheel to one side. Get your cleaner. This is a brake and clutch cleaner. Get your cleaner. Spray all around. Give everything a good soaking. Look at all the bolts and stuff. The areas you're going to work. Give them a really good soaking. It's not hurting, it's actually doing your brakes a favour because you clean them all up, do all your shocks and stuff and that when you're there. Give everything a good old wipe over. And then just literally wipe it down. Don't have to do this step if you don't mind getting all greasy in that, then carry on. Just sometimes this can work out nicely because you'll get some crusty bolts and that will just sort them bits out when you get there. You can see I've got bits of rust and that all falling down. There's a few bits I want to go with a wire wheel or a wire brush. Give them a bit of a blast, but that will get you started. So next thing I'm going to do is get my keys, put them in, and turn my wheel all the way one way. Then we get to look at the job we've actually got to do. So as you can see, we've actually got to get right in there. That'll focus. Basically, we've got to get right in the back of there. I've actually already put a new sensor on this one because I thought the sensor was playing up. Turns out it's not, it's the actual ABS ring. I've got all loads of bits of flaky rust around the bottom of this, so it's going to be fun. But we've got to undo this bottom joint to release it from here. We've got to try not to split these rubbers as we're doing them, because otherwise we'll be replacing bits that we don't really want to. Same with this, I think we've got to undo this one as well, just so we can start sliding all this lot forward. We've got a centre nut here to undo on the old castle, and we've just got to basically move it, whatever we need to move to release this drive shaft out the back. So I'll grab your socket set, got it all handy, and this one is going to be an 18. I know that because I've done them plenty of times before. Hopefully she's just going to blast off. But if you haven't got one of these, like I say, socket set, Halfords jobby or anything like that, and away you go, knock your nut off. If it just stays in there, just turn it on a couple of threads, like so, pull it off, put it to the side. It's nice and warm. Right. There's a couple of ways of doing this. You can get a splitting tool that you put underneath the rubber there and you split it, or you can hit it a few times on the side and hope that releases itself. We'll try both. I'll grab a hammer and we'll hit the sides till we can get it to release. If not, we'll use a splitting tool and shear to do that. So I've grabbed a hefty hammer, as you can see. You don't want a little weak jobby. This is a proper splitting tool that goes under there, but we're going to try and do it without it first. Yeah, and that worked. See, the reason you do that is you don't want to split this rubber, because then that'll be an MOT failure. That'll start losing all its grease, and that's obviously part of your steering, that won't work properly. But what you do with this tool, if you can't get it out, that goes underneath there, you hit it, and you just try not to split your rubber above it. But try that way first, if not, use the next one is going to be this bottom one down here. I'll zoom you in on that so you can see that, but it's the one that's holding the bottom arm in basically. There will be a nut on the other end of this. You've got both ends of this one, so that's a bit of a pain. You have to get a spanner on one end and a socket on the other. And this one is a 16, so 16 on that side. It's probably going to be different on the other side, so let's have a look. Looks bigger. It definitely is bigger. It's very crusty, so I'm having fun sort of getting stuff on it, but that is a 17 on the other side, so I'll go and grab a spanner for that, or I'll go and get a socket, either way, and then I'll blast it with the gun from this side is what I'll probably do. So we want 16 on the gun. If you do a lot of this sort of stuff, or you're thinking about doing a lot of this sort of stuff, I would recommend a decent gun. Now this is a top end one, really powerful one. You can get them probably half a price less power. This one was about £800, but I'm pretty sure you can get them for sort of £300-ish. But a lot of them won't do this job, that's the only trouble. You'd have to see what you can find and see what's out there. But you will be able to do it with a socket set anyway. So let's get in there. Let's see if we can get it undone. I'm going to get a socket for the other side, and then we should be able to blast both. So I've got my 17mm socket on this side. I'm going to put my gun on this side. You can do it with two sockets, you can do it with a spanner on one end, whatever you need to do. And that undone quite nicely, as you saw. They don't always do that. Sometimes there'll be a bit more pressure and a bit more hassle, but that one went. And you have got to get that to go through, so do recommend screwing the nut back down to so the thread and the nut are level, and then you can tap it. And now it's moving because that'll be rusty if not. And just do that backwards and forwards a couple of times, and then you'll find it'll start to move like it has. That's now free. It's not just going to fall out still. You've got to be careful of what you hit the thread with. Try the it's moving with the end of the hammer, but not enough. Normally I wouldn't hit it with that, but because that was already moving, I only had to tap it, so I'll spin it a few times from this side, and out it comes. Get the one that you took off, do that back up, so you know that's the one for the bottom there. The other separate one, the castle nut for this one, is the one with the plastic inside it. It's basically a thread lock. Now, we can get the we can either get the splitter in there again to knock it off, which is normally what you have to do because these don't just come off. You can see I've got a fair bit of rust on this. The bottom of this, look at this, look at all this coming out of that. I recommend if yours is like that to knock it all around, even get a wire wheel on it, and then obviously you can hoover it all up outwards, and then treat it with some black. Now it's moved, but it's not out. It is now. Few hits downwards, and down it comes. Just checking the rubber, and we didn't damage any of the rubber or anything, so that's good news. And that's now moving up and down, as you can see, because when I want to pull this shaft out, I need to be able to push that down and pull this that way. So it's gone back in, but that will be loose now. So now the next bit is you got a split pin in here. You're going to want a little screwdriver. And a pair of pliers. Sometimes if it's bent round like so, I'll get you a little screwdriver, I'll show you what's what. And we'll get that out as well. So, little screwdriver like so. Nice little flat blade end on it. And then you can just get into the end of where the split pin is, hopefully. Which we can't on this one yet. If that's the case, then you've got to start moving it upwards. You basically got to move it around a bit, like so. Like I've done there, and then you can push it forward. And you can normally get the screwdriver through the end. Now I'm going to have to tap this one because it's slightly not in line. And down the bottom where it's been bent over, that's where it's jamming up. So all you're basically trying to do is straighten out the whole split pin so you can pull it through the hole. But obviously its job is to not come out. And when you put another one through, you bend them over so they don't pull out even if they come loose. So it's holding itself in, which is what it's meant to do. Here it comes, and out it comes. Put that aside. If you haven't got another one, then reuse it, because these are quite tough and they're decent ones. They're not like cheapy ones that you go and buy at a pound shop or something. So if you do replace it, put a nice one in there. Don't go and get a flimsy, horrible thing, because that's almost a waste of time, to be honest. Now, as I said to you, we cleaned up before, and look at the state of my hands. So imagine what they would have been like if I hadn't done any cleaning. Always good to keep them. Right, we're now going for a, no, it's not that one. Oh, it's bigger than the set I've got. I just tried a 27. It's actually bigger than that. So let me go and grab it and let me give you the right size. So we've got a socket, it's a 30mm. Now it comes. Put that aside, you obviously reuse that one. We should start to get to the point where things are going to start moving. Don't recommend hitting the end of that. I was just seeing if that was going to move or if it's going to be a pain. That's a little bit tight at the moment, so. Okay, so I'm going to grab some WD because these could always be a pain. Squirt it in there. Squirt it all around the back of where the drive shaft comes out. Push your arm out the way, as you can see the arm's out, makes everything free. Now a case of trying to get the drive shaft to move. I know they can be a pain. You have to line up the castle nut back on the spline so when you hit it, it doesn't cause any damage. Yep, that one's very tight. It is moving there. But cool. You see how I done that? That now means no damage to any of the thread. Obviously if you hit the end of that, you'd messed up all the thread. And that wouldn't go back on, basically. And you'd have to replace it. I'm just trying to get it lined up again. That need a couple more hits. Unbelievably, it's a really tight one, this one. You may get a really tight one as well. Other times they'll just fall out. Depends, I suppose, how recently they've been out. This one certainly ain't been out for a while. It's definitely moving. So that's not the nicest thing to do, but that's the best way of not messing up your thread. And this will still spin on like so, like that's brand new. Whew. Now, has that drive shaft come out enough? Can I tap it gently now? Let me tap it. Well, we can get enough room to get it out is a different thing. But we're trying. Yep, that's loose. I just pushed it through, so that's good news. This is just the bit that goes in front of the nut, so stick that down there. What we're trying to do is basically just get the drive shaft away from what we're working with. So very close to being out. There we go. There we go. I was going to say that was that close to being out, but that wasn't quite there. Now there's the ring that's got to be replaced. Who on earth put that on? It's on backwards. What? Don't know how that worked. What? No. Whoever's put that on has been put on backwards. And yeah, that's rusted to hell anyway. Oh, that literally fell off, so I reckon someone tried to bodge this up, I reckon. Tried to force this on. Split it in half, as you can see there. And this probably isn't even the right one for the vehicle. Either way, that was on the wrong way around, and that's not how you do it. But I'm now about to show you how you do it, so you can get it right on yours, and we can get it all good. So get that all nice and cleaned up. And we're going to have to clean that up a lot better than that, because that just ain't no good. So let's get some stuff. I'm going to wash my hands because they're absolutely caked. And then we're going to get on there with another tool, get that cleaned up, ready to receive the new one. So here's the tools you're going to want next. You're going to want some sort of eye protection. You're going to want a grinder with some sort of type of wire wheel. I mean, you can do it with a wire brush, but that'll take you about 3 weeks. So it's not really worth the effort. You really do want a grinder and a wire wheel at least. And then basically you get in there, and the ring's got to sit on there, so we want that as clean as possible. It is awkward to get in there and show you. think you get the idea, you can see what I'm doing, so I'll do the rest of that off camera. We'll fast forward it, and we'll get that one nice and clean and move on to the next step. Basically just got to be sitting on the shaft as far back as possible, but all nice and even, and then that sensor there reads it from the inside as it spins around. So you just pass the drive shaft back through. Make sure everything's all good, and that looks good to me. So we get the big washer, the nut. See what I mean? That still just spins on lovely. And the drive shaft is 3/4 of the way through. There's about that much gap at the moment, about a quarter of a gap. Then when I blast it, or when you do it with a socket, that should pull the rest of it through. Like so. That should have pulled it right into the hub now. Just check. Looks like it. Looks good to me. And then we've got to whack that back in there. Nut on there. Check everything's all good, and we're sort of getting there. So, putting the bottom joint back in, and as you can see, you just line it up like so, and you give it a tap, and that should just go straight back in. And there you go, it's back in. Now, it did manage to nick the side of mine and split it slightly, so I'm either going to change that, or I'm going to get some liquid rubber, and I'm just going to tidy that up so it doesn't lose any more grease. Next thing will be put the bolt back on here. Hard to do with my left hand, I'm not left-handed, but I'm holding the camera with the other hand. And then I've got to blast that back up, do that up, and then we're sort of back to where we need to be. Put the wheel on, and away we go for a test drive down the road. Okay, so once you're all back together, it should be like this. Don't forget your split pin that goes through there, and then bend it both ways. You'll have your nut done up on your steering joint. You'll have the one underneath done up on the ball joint, and then you should be ready to put your wheel back on. The only reason I haven't put my wheel back on is because I've got to take that wheel and go and have a tyre put on it, so that's the only reason I haven't put it all back together. And then basically just jack it up, put it on its wheel, drop it down again, pack up all your gear, and away you go. Still even got a bit of drink left. Okay, so I hope that's give you the confidence to have a go at this job. You can do it on your driveway on a weekend or after work one night. It's not a massive labour intensive job. It can be a bit of a pain, a couple of bits as you saw, but nothing too crazy. And with a few tools, you can fix it yourself and save yourself quite a lot of money, to be fair. I mean, what? You're going to get charged a couple of hours for that in most places, because they would have had a coffee break in between halfway through doing that. And so you'd be, what, £90 an hour in the average garage at the moment. So yeah, so you're looking at 180, you can save yourself 180. You might have to buy a few little tools and whatever, but you can buy a cheap socket set. a bar, you know, a few spanners which you probably already got kicking around. And away you go. You save yourself well over £100. Plus you'll have the tools to do other jobs on the car when you're more confident in doing them. And be pretty good. So hopefully I've saved you quite a bit. And you'll get your own car fixed. Let me know in the comments below if it's helped you out. I've noticed on loads of these how-to videos I've had hundreds of comments of people saying thank you very much, you got my car back on the road, you gave me the confidence to have a go. People have been able to go at their brakes, front, back, steering joints, suspension, springs, all that sort of stuff. I'm getting loads of lovely comments, tens of thousands of views on the how-to videos. So pretty good, and I appreciate all that, everyone. And I hope to see you all soon with some more how-to videos, and I'll build some more cars in the meantime. Hopefully you'll build a few yourself, or you'll look after your own one, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.